Man, oh man, do we have a lot to talk about today. It hasn't been a good week for Kid Smooth. It's unfortunate, but it just keeps piling on. You know how people say it. Things come in threes, so I believe Kid Smooth has two. Unfortunately, the third is probably going to be coming soon. But before we even get into that, I gotta shout out the Weapon Wheel podcast. We stream Sundays at 6:30. Be sure to check us out. Check out all of our members, including Broken Games HD, Jack Move Johnny, Your Man Kid Smooth, Planet Xbox, and Jimmy B Gaming. Also, if you like to support the channel, you like to support the podcast, we do have a Patreon. You are not obligated to follow it or support it. But if you feel that we have earned your commitment, then hey, go ahead and support us on Patreon. We appreciate it. Now back to Halo. Oh my goodness. Let's read this tweet from 343 Industries, Chris Lee, studio head at Halo Infinite. Today I want to share an important Halo Infinite development update with the community. We have made the difficult decision to shift our release to 2021 to ensure the team has adequate time to deliver a Halo game experience that meets our vision. The decision to shift our release is the result of multiple factors that have contributed to the development challenges, including the ongoing COVID-related impacts affecting us all this year. I want to acknowledge the hard work from our team members at 343 Industries who have remained committed to making a great game and finding solutions to development challenges. However, it is not sustainable for all well-being of our team or the overall success of the game to ship this holiday. We know this will be disappointing to many of you, and we all share in that sentiment. The passion and the support the community has shown over the years has been incredible and inspiring. We wanted nothing more than to play our game with the community this holiday. The extra time will let us finish the critical work necessary to deliver the most ambitious Halo game ever at the quality we know our fans to expect. This is very interesting, because this game has been in development for 5 years. This game has over 1,200 developers working on it. I believe the budget for the game, it's gotta be in excess of over 500 million at this point. And now we've had all the Looking Glass reviews, all the developer Reddit inquiries, and the feedback about how nobody knows what they're doing, how things aren't going well. There's a lot of structural rifts over at 343 Industries, and now on top of that, we have COVID. This seems kind of like the perfect storm of things coming out that made this game, their flagship game, their IP, their killer app, their system seller, to essentially not look the part. I mean, we've all seen the Craig memes. We all saw the Xbox showcase where they showed off the game, and it didn't look good. It did not look good. And then they come out a couple of days later and say, oh, but it's going to be 120 frames. Okay, cool. Why didn't you tell us then on the Xbox showcase? And then we have more later details talking about how the multiplayer is going to be free to play. Okay, cool. But why didn't you tell us that over the Xbox showcase? There is a lot going on here, and a lot that we're never going to know until either this game comes out and we hear later about it, or Jason Schreier goes deep diving in and gets an interview and finds something out. But this is not a good look. I mean, yeah, it's better for the game to be delayed, because I stated this earlier. You're going to have to sacrifice the quality of Halo, or you're going to have to sacrifice the entire Xbox Series X console. Because make no mistake, Microsoft is running at an uphill battle already against Nintendo and Sony. They are pushing a boulder up a mountain. Now they have to do it without Master Chief and Halo. That is going to make it exponentially more difficult to overcome the situation they're in right now, where they need games. They need games, they need big games, they need big games that are not on the competing competition's platforms. This is bad. Good for Halo, because Halo's going to come out later. It's going to be a success, and it's going to be supported regardless of if an Xbox exists or not, as you all seen with Halo, the Master Chief Collection on the PC. But this is not good for the Xbox. It does not bode well for people wanting to buy it at launch. It does not bode well for the morale of developing a game. It does not bode well for your top tier killer app game not appearing at launch. It does not bode well for your top tier killer app game experiencing development difficulties. It does not look well at all. People on the outside looking in, has Xbox changed? Do I want to buy an Xbox? Can I put my faith back into Xbox? Or people wondering, can they keep their faith and not lose it? How does this make you feel? How does a $500 million budget with over 1,000 developers and a 5-year dev time, how does this instill any confidence into you as a person wanting to buy into the Xbox market, into the Xbox brand or the ecosystem or whatever they're calling it? How does this, as a current Xbox fan looking for anything and any reason not to jump over to a Switch, not to jump over to a PlayStation 5, not to jump over to a PC, how does this situation affect you? How does this make you feel better to stay where you're at? Are you confident in staying where you're at? I wouldn't be. Because if this is happening to their biggest game, it's going to happen to a lot of their other games too. This is probably why we saw a bunch of CG and not a lot of gameplay for their games over the Xbox showcase. That's probably why. Because a lot of it wasn't ready. And if a lot of it wasn't ready, I have to ask, why was Phil Spencer saying after Sony's conference, we feel a lot better? Sony showed real-time gameplay of Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank. You showed a bunch of CGI trailers and an underwhelming Halo Infinite debut. But yet you came out and said, you feel better. But you had to have known Halo was going to be getting delayed, or that it had development issues or problems or something. By not showing things for the rest of the showcase in real-time gameplay, while games like Fable and such had CGI trailers, you had to have known that COVID was affecting you somehow. You had to. At this point, it's just becoming really negligent what Microsoft is doing. Or I should say, what Phil Spencer is doing. Oh, we want to keep the gamers in the loop. We want to keep the gamers on the roadmap. We want to communicate to the gamers exactly what we're doing and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to put into the gamers' hands. We want to be pro-consumer. We want to be your best friend. We want to be this. We want to be that. And now look where we're at. I would love nothing more than to go back to the early 360 days where Microsoft was stomping a mud hole into Sony's ass. Because look what happened. Sony fell off. They got cocky after the PS2. Microsoft came in. 1 rock bottom, 2 rock bottom, 3 rock bottoms right into Sony's candy ass. And guess what? Sony had to elevate. They had to trim the fat. They had to reorganize. They had to sell buildings. They had to restructure their entire company. They were going bankrupt. They had to scratch and claw from the bottom to rebuild their brand, to re-earn consumer trust, and to reestablish themselves as the top dogs in console gaming. That's what I need Microsoft to do. That's what I want Microsoft to do. But I'll be honest, people. As long as Phil Spencer is in charge, I don't see that happening. And I understand that COVID is something that can and will affect things. But remember, they said that this was a games as a service game. There's no reason, if it's a games as a service game, that they cannot release what they have now and then add on to what they want to release later, because that's all they're doing anyway. So that's the end of my video, people. Take it for what it is. We won't really know what's going on until after the game's released, until people move on and talk about it, or until Jason Schreier dives into it. But this is not a good look. I'm Black Bond. Y'all enjoy your day. I'm out.